Thank you, Krista. And it is time for the round of 12 to be whittled down to the round of 8, the last race in this round of 12. Got to set the field through qualifying for the Monster Energy Cup Series. And you look at the playoff board, and Eric Almirola and Chase Elliott, those two, they're safe. They're going to advance because of their wins. Everyone else will be fighting for positions on the racetrack because that means points. And, of course, with qualifying, you always want to win the pole. Well, the last two winners of this race have come from starting on the pole. So qualifying today, very important, alongside Dale Jr., Steve Letarte. Guys, how big is this qualifying session just because of the fact that it's an elimination race?
Well, the elimination race. So not only the numbers you mentioned about how good your odds go up if you start up front to win the race, but that first stage. I mean, if you're going to score points, if you're going to continue through, I mean, one guy can go to victory lane, but a majority are going to go through on points. Scoring points in that first stage matters, and I think that starts with a good starting position.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen throughout this playoff this playoff rounds 1 and 2, how much the playoff points have mattered in the stages, let alone just the points you get for where you finish in the race. It's just incredible, and I'm seeing that for the first time, and it's been really educational to see how important, like you say, it is to get those points in those rounds, especially that first round. You cannot do that if you don't qualify well. It's going to be hard to get those points.
Does Martin Truex Jr. have to have a great race here? I mean, he's coming to a racetrack where mile-and-a-half racetracks, he's been very good. Does he have to have a great race?
Well, if I'm the 78 Martin Truex Jr., my goal is to move up one spot on the leaderboard, because then you control your own opportunity to advance. You stay down there at 8th, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, even though he's going to a backup, if he goes to victory lane, you're eliminated, right? You did that to yourself. He has not had a very good round. He came in with that head start. It's gone. So I think as long as he looks ahead and doesn't try to protect, he gains one spot, Junior. He's guaranteed through even if someone wins.
All right, well, we know that one guy who has struggled the last two races of this round, and then again today, this is practice earlier this morning. Kyle Larson, who's already in a situation where he has to win. Car gets loose, he tries to correct it, gets up into the wall, a backup car.
It's definitely going to put this 42 car behind, without a doubt. I've been a little concerned of what I've seen from the 42, just not on the racetrack, but on the radio, out of the team. They just don't look very focused, so I'm not sure this is something they can recover from.
All right, let's hear from Kyle. He's
All right, so while qualifying is to set the field, as you guys talked about, Kyle Larson now in a backup car, so we know you'll be starting for the back. There's still a pit stall selection on the line here. Kyle, what is it going to be like qualifying this backup car you have yet to be in?
Yeah, I mean, it's you don't really know what to expect. So, but thankfully, with all the sim data and things like that, we should hopefully be pretty close here this first run. So, you hate that I've put ourselves in this spot, but we're gonna have to just dig down deep. And I mean, I've got plenty of confidence that we'll still be good. I've been in backup cars here in the past and have challenged for wins. So. We'll be good. Cool temperatures, track be fast, and hopefully we can qualify good.
Yeah, it sounds like you were excited from the minute you kind of got on the plane and put Talladega behind you, that this was the place. If there was a track you had to come to, lay it all out there and win, this is a good spot?
Yeah, I would say this is probably my third or fourth best track, I feel like, anyways. I've had some good finishes here, just haven't gotten the win. But yeah, I mean, mile and a halfs kind of suit us best as an organization. So I'm glad that we can come to Kansas as a cutoff race and try and get a win to make it in the next round. So we'll see how it goes on Sunday. But like I said, I've got a lot of confidence, even with being in a backup car.
Cal, thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Rick.
Alex Bowman, he's in a must-win situation. Kyle Larson has fallen into that must-win situation, and it all starts with how they will start. Qualifying's next. You can catch all the action of NASCAR on NBC with the NBC Sports app. You can get it anytime, anywhere, and right at your fingertips. Opportunity for stats, track information, everything you need to enjoy NASCAR. Let's go to the Peacock Pit Box where Jeff Burton, the mayor, is holding court.
Hey guys, Steve, I took your spot, man. This is normally where you are, but with this cool temperatures, I could not help but think about, as being a driver, knowing that I'm going to have to sit in that race car and I'm going to have to give it a ton of throttle. With this cool temperature, there's tons of grip. and it takes a ton of commitment. And the only thing you can do is drive that thing in the corner, run wide open coming through 3 and 4 to get the green, drive into 1, hoping it's going to stick. And if it doesn't, then you got to react to that. But otherwise, you just have to trust that race car is going to stick, don't you, Steve?
You do. You absolutely do. These cool weathers make it difficult because as the sun sets, the track is going to gain even more speed. The crew chiefs are going to have to. You mentioned the car sticking to the racetrack. Was a crew chief, I also have to keep the car off the racetrack. I think it's going to have some adjustments to keep the splitter off the racetrack. And Jeff, I have a cold weather clause. If it requires a jacket, I can't be on the pit box. Everyone knows I hate cold weather.
Wait a minute, he had layers. There were like 4 layers that he had.
He had
when he was
layers,
going down there.
for sure.
It's cold, but it's not that bad. And I tell you what, Steve, it is awesome being down here, hearing these cars fire up. It's just there's some excitement about the cars going, and now everybody's going to roll in line. It'll be interesting to see. I think they're going to sit and wait a little while, aren't they?
I would imagine so. I think the track is only going to gain more speed. Junior, my question is, the first round maybe around the bottom, but you think there's enough opportunity at this worn-out racetrack to move off the bottom as the rounds continue?
Yeah, I talked to a couple drivers, and they said that they're definitely going to commit to that middle groove. I think you could do it right away. It's just easier to run that middle groove, to hit the marks, make sure you don't overdrive the front of the car and get the car tight or get the car loose. Running that center is a lot more comfortable. If you run that bottom, it may be quicker, but there's that potential to make a mistake. Steve, if I was Kyle Larson, I might go out early in this round, wouldn't you think? Because at this track, a car can get faster the more runs you put on the tires. Like the second run's definitely going to be quicker. Would it benefit him to go out now, see what kind of balance he has in the car?
Yeah, and the question for the 42 is, since they have to start last, are they going to go out and try to get a pit selection? I imagine they will have race practice tomorrow, so there's no reason to get too crazy and run multiple laps. I like what you're thinking. I'd go out kind of right away, maybe have time to make some adjustments.
Because that second run will be probably quicker.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we've seen so far in this place.
Ty Dillon has put the lap at 29.020. Now, one driver, the driver of the 4, Kevin Harvick, has been talking about the conditions out here, the sun and the shade. Let's listen to the radio.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine with the sun, but middle of 3 and 4, it'll hit you in the face, and then you'll be in the shade on exit. So just might be prepared for it a little bit.
Well, you notice he's gone with the clear visor, which, 3/4 of the track are in the shade, but that sun definitely would make a difference.
There's a burst right there.
You see the shadows. I mean, a few minutes, just like 10 or 20 minutes, that'll be completely covered in shade. I think these guys with the clear shields are going to be fine to be able to go at this point right now.
Again, it's 3 rounds. The first round will determine the top 24. Then once you've made the top 24 in the second round, that will whittle it down to 12. And then 12 drivers will fight for the pole in those top 12 positions. So the drivers are waiting. Not many on the track. We'll take a quick break. Be right back. Energy Cup Series qualifying from Kansas Speedway. The 22 of Joey Logano on the clock. He goes to the apron for his lap and goes to the top of the chart. 28:32 for Joey Logano. Here comes Kevin Harvick, and he is now on the clock.
Joey ran a 28:17 in practice.
Middle of the track for Kevin Harvick.
Gaining versus Joey Logano. You mentioned Logano 17, Dale. Well, Harvick ran a 16, so
look at there. Middle. Chose the middle in 3 and 4. Now, the middle in 1 and 2 definitely makes more sense to me. The middle in 3 and 4 is sort of a personal preference, and I think that's something that Harvick has ran before in the past.
28-23 for Harvick, so a little bit slower than what he ran in practice.
Yeah, but definitely gained in 3 and 4, so that middle lane didn't hurt him relative to Joey Logano. That's who he was being compared to.
Yeah.
He's been sparking out of left front of the 3. Pretty normal. That's the splitter itself won't spark. It's a composite material, but the hardware, the old bolts that hold it on, they are ground away as they drag on the asphalt. Just a normal steel bolt.
Wearing that splitter away just a little bit, maybe?
Just a little clearance for those later rounds.
Saw the spark there, and Austin Dillon is 3rd quickest on that lap. So it's Harvick, Logano, and Austin Dillon.
That's the fastest guy in practice earlier today, Ryan Blaney. Looking forward to this track. Really says he enjoys running here. Hear that from a few guys. This place really provides you a lot of options. He's not going to be real happy with that lap, I don't think.
You want to be in the top 24.
Yeah. You just don't know whether he was going as hard as he could, but certainly being that he ran a 28.10 in practice, putting up a 28.46.
Action's picking up now.
Under 8 minutes to go in this first round, and we see Jimmy Johnson. He crosses the stripe, and he will be 5th quickest. Only 12 have gone up to this point. Martin Truex Jr. Such great success on mile-and-a-half tracks a year ago, and across the stripe for Martin will be 3rd quickest.
No surprise, you have playoff drivers currently 1 through 4. Guys, I really think, you know, at the top of the show we discussed how important qualifying is to run well. I think, I'm not sure if you can gain a bunch in qualifying because the playoff guys are probably going to all be up in the top 10, but you can lose some. You know what I mean, Rick? If you stumble here, you can definitely put yourself behind.
Like most of the mile-and-a-half tracks, similar, you're going to have maybe 4 or 5 good pit stalls. They would be the prime stalls here at Kansas.
Yeah, there's a few openings. There's 4 openings total. So there's, I would say, you know, 8 or 9, 10 stalls. If you're inside the top 10, you're going to feel better about your opportunity to have an opening either in front or behind, which is really the goal, to make sure you have at least one opening to help you get in and out of your stall. Kurt Busch goes to 4th. Once again, big surprise. Playoff drivers 1 through 5.
And we'll watch most of these guys beat Kevin Harvick into turn 1, so they all must have gotten a very good run through 3 and 4 coming to the green. But they're not able to keep that speed from the center of turn 1 and 2 off down the back straightaway through the rest of the lap.
Brad stays in the middle through 1 and 2. Still not gaining at all on Harvick. Goes to the bottom of the racetrack through 3 and 4.
He gains a little bit on entry there, but definitely going to lose it on corner exit. See the difference when running the bottom on corner exit, how much you lose, because that momentum on the top of the racetrack is just so good off the corner down the straightaway.
He had to have a good week right here, don't you think, Rick?
I don't think Eric Almirola is too worried about this race.
No, and good for him.
What a big win it was a week ago for Eric Almirola. Saved enough fuel and ended up winning at Talladega.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him run very, very good this weekend. He really has a great track record here. Loves this racetrack. Probably his favorite mile-and-a-half.
Highs and lows coming from this racetrack for Eric Almirola. Broke his back here a year ago.
Right. Well, his teammate Clint Boyer right here trending in the green. You only have to be in the top 24, but it's definitely good for your ego if you can be the fastest. There you go. And he told me last week, I was talking to him Saturday in the garage on an interview, and he didn't mix words. We need a win. He said it multiple times.
Aggressively.
Yes. I think he actually took the microphone.
He did. He grabbed the microphone from you and said, I don't think you heard me. We need a win.
I'm not sure interview etiquette, but I think he broke it by touching the microphone.
We've switched now to 24th is what we're comparing right now. That's Weatherman at 29.892 is 24th. Denny Hamlin has a winning streak that is on the line. Only 5 races to go, and Denny Hamlin still has yet to find victory lane in 2018.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a year that Denny's going to want to put behind him. But it's going to be easier to do that if he can go to victory lane one more time. He has some good tracks. I mean, Martinsville, without a doubt, has to be the one he has circled. But I mean, he's proven he can win on all types of racetracks. He's not going to be happy with that lap, though. That lap right there is, I mean, and this is Denny Hamlin.
That's
Kyle
what's
Busch
shocking.
runs a 27. Denny Hamlin, he is a half a second slower than his teammate.
There's Kyle Larson still fighting the balance in his backup car. See him moving around a lot, 1 and 2. He's going to lift early here, but to the throttle very early, so he backs the whole corner up.
And it's going to pay dividends, isn't
Oh, man, he's really chasing the back of that car. I would have maybe...
Even that lap, 23rd.
And it's his first laps in the car. So that's why I think maybe I would have went out earlier, get it up there and get a run, come in, cool it off, make some adjustments, go out and run again.
Well, I'm sure they're sending another car from Charlotte, but that's a long way. North Carolina is a long ways from Kansas. They can't afford to put another car on the fence on the same day. So I mean, he's a little handcuffed at this point.
And right now, he's 24th, and still a few good cars to go that could knock him out of that top 24.
Trevor Bayne back in the 6th, splitting this ride with Matt Kenseth this year. And
Bain knocks Larson out.
Yeah, and Trevor Bain trying to impress someone, right? Still trying to find a ride, a little bit of a job interview still. Whether it's a sponsor or a company, he needs something to go his way for next season.
What are they going to do? That's Kyle Larson.
They're going to hook up the cool down, that's for sure.
Can they get him back out in 2 minutes and 43 seconds?
I don't think they're even going to try. I think they're going to take their medicine.
Let's go to Kelly.
Yeah, are they going to try? Well, I heard Chad Johnston, crew chief on the 42, say, I don't think we can do it, but we're going to try. So we'll see if we can get it cooled down in time to make a second run.
There you go, Junior. I like your strategy to go a little earlier in the session. Would have perhaps saved him a little more time.
Yeah, guys, they're taking air out of the tires. They got it plugged in, so they're gonna try. They're making air pressure adjustments down here on the 42 car, so they look like they're going to put some effort in to try to get this run in. But with only 2 minutes left to go, they're going to have to roll here in the next minute if they're going to do it. It's going to be hard to make it happen.
Well, if you're just tuning in, we're not making a huge deal about Larson being below the cut line because this is a backup car. So we already know he's going to have to start at the rear of the field. If not, this would be a huge story if this was his primary. But the story already happened a few hours earlier with that accident in practice.
So Larson in a backup car, now sitting as the seconds continue to tick away at the end of round one. And he'll have to, if he's going to get another lap, he has to take the green flag prior to the clock running out. So if he gets all the way around and there's 1 second still left on the clock, there you hear it, 40 seconds. They know.
Now, the last thing you want to do is go out there and overheat this engine. Icing it down. You got to be a little careful. The rate in which you cool that engine right there can hurt it. So that thing right there is basically a cool down unit. You see the hoses. All it basically does is without the engine running, it circulates water through the engine, through the radiator, and back. And that unit has another radiator in it.
15 seconds.
Cooling the water. But it only cools to a certain amount. You see the water temp 157 right there in his digital dash.
You're gonna have to go hard when you leave here.
So the question is it going to be worth it? Well, they're going to make a run. Let's see. It's going to be fun just to see if he gets back by.
We gotta go.
Yeah, he's got 40 seconds to go from there all the way around the racetrack to the start-finish line.
I say he makes it. No problem. 4 or 5 seconds in the bank.
Really?
Yep, 4 or 5 seconds in the bank.
I think it's going to be very close. I think it'll be less than 4 seconds. We'll see. Down the apron he goes and down the backstretch.
I'll give you a little hint. Roll down in here, and he's going to come around with about 5.5 seconds to go.
Well, he's going to pick up a lot of speed right now.
Well, with the tires, and with the tires at this racetrack, this is a good chance for him to.
Well, it definitely wasn't 5
to run faster.
And we'll get the word from NASCAR if this does count, because the clock up top, not official.
They said we've seen the flag. They didn't wave it until after we passed it. They said we've seen the flag, but they didn't wave it until after the start-finish line.
They said he did not get it. He did not get there in time. And he was in the red anyway.
He's got to get his value in anyway. Learn something about the race car.
Get a lap.
You got it, Rick. I thought he'd have 4 or 5 seconds, and he was short.
Cycle all the way back.
Still wasn't even fast enough to get into the top 24 either way.
He was 0.268 seconds off of being there in time. So it was close, but just doesn't get there in time. So Kyle Larson is going to start outside of the top 24. Clint Boyer was the fastest. Once again, we saw a domination out of Stuart Haas at Talladega last week. Again, looking strong here in Kansas. The first round is done, and that means anyone outside the top 24, their positions are locked in. Allmendinger the closest to making it in, but Kyle Larson 27th in a backup car. And then you see Weatherman, McLeod, Sorensen, and Timmy Hill rounding out the top 40. When we come back, we'll get words from the drivers. And the Peacock Pit Box has a guest with Jeff Burton. It's the youngest Dillon.
Well, Ty, thanks for joining us. I know you don't want to be here. I know you want to be on your race car. What'd you have in qualifying in the first round?
We just lack speed. That's kind of been a little bit of our issue all year, and we've been struggling with that. But, we still have the race to come, and that's where we've been focusing on this year. We know we've been a little bit behind in the speed category, and qualifying definitely hasn't been our day. But we have tomorrow to work on and work on our car so it's good for the race and work on execute.
So that's difficult as a driver. You feel like your car drives pretty good, but you just don't have the speed you want. That's a hard thing to fix, isn't it?
That's a really hard thing to fix, and there's a lot of things you can't control in life, and all we can do is worry about the things that we can control. And qualifying's past now, so we're going to worry about the race.
So you've been on the race car on this racetrack today. These guys are getting ready to roll off. What are they expecting on this second run? You think they'll be able to pick up speed, or are they maxed out on speed after the first run?
It seems like the guys who advance always find a way to keep picking up speed. So as it's getting cooler, the track's getting cooler, it's getting darker out. I think they're going to pick up a little bit of speed. I think we're going to get down to the teens and probably by the final round 2-0.
So tell us what you're seeing from Joey Logano here. Obviously, he's coming to the green, middle of the racetrack.
This is no lifting off the throttle stop. There's differences. Some people say lifting. There's low lifting to me is not coming off the throttle stop. It's fully extended. You could bend that pedal around the middle.
That's coming to the green. How about now? How much throttle he's got now?
I'd say Joey's not coming all the way out to where the throttle's at a resting position. He's coming probably about 20% from that point, and then he's getting back to it really quickly. 3 and 4 is more throttle than 1 and 2. It seems to hold the speed a little bit better. So he's really close to full all the way around. And in a car like this, that's some fast speeds. We were talking about it today, that sometimes you go fast and it doesn't feel fast. Today feels fast.
So how violent? We saw him drop off the racetrack and get on the apron at the start-finish line, just straight into the racetrack out. You saw the splitter hit, a lot of sparks. How violent is that?
That's not too bad. Here, it's just, I think the sparks come typically from the ride heights of these cars and having no rule there. The splitter, there's some screws there holding the splitter in that different metal sparking. So it's actually not that rough compared to what you might get at Atlanta or Kentucky or somewhere like that.
So explain to the fans at home how much commitment it takes at this type of racetrack with these conditions. I mean, you just have to trust the thing is going to stick, right?
Yeah, it's a life commitment driving off in the corner here. It's there's a lot of decisions riding off that throttle pedal when you're going off into turn 1 here. 2-0, you know what, going in the corner. But that's why we're crazy. That's why we love this sport, and that's why we have the greatest fans in the world.
One thing I want to talk about you in particular, there's been a lot of talk about what was going on with the 31 car when that seat was filled. But you said, hey, I'm happy where I am. I like where I am, and you're committed to staying there and making it work, right?
Yeah, I have a commitment with Jermaine Racing and Geico through 2020, and we're very proud of that. And we're focused on growth as a race team. This year hasn't been what we expected, but we're learning. And sometimes in the years where it's been the hardest years of your career, and sometimes in life, there's growth in that, and we feel like we're doing that. We're going to be better next year when we get our better opportunity and the speed comes. We're doing small things right that when the opportunity hits, we're going to be a really strong team.
Well, as Eric Almirola just jumped to the top of the board.
Exactly.
So is that kind of guy, does that motivate you, seeing what he's had to do to get to where he is?
For sure. Eric's definitely put in his time, and I know he's had years where he's been frustrated with speed in the race car, and he's doing everything like I am myself to try to figure out what he can do to be a better driver, and all that does is make it when you get that opportunity. And our Geico number 13 has the speed to run what Eric just did one day that you can fully execute.
See, Alex Bowman moved to 5th. Now he's gotten bumped back down. Torres is now in 5th. Almirola fastest. Logano with a good lap. Blaney with a good lap. We see Ryan Newman, and he's the highest RCR car right now in 9th. How does your affiliation at Germain work with RCR?
We work very close. We know all the information, same motors. Our bodies are still done at Germain Racing. We have a great team of guys there that work hard at our shop. They put in a lot of time, and they have to put in a lot of work for the single car team and the way we do things. But we share a lot of information, and everything we can possibly get from RCR we do, but it's still not solely one of their race cars.
Ryan Truex. See where he ends up here. Yeah, there he goes, 6th.
I was going to say, I feel like this is one of those qualifying sessions where Keselowski just slowly creeps in the picture, and then he's on the pole out of nowhere on the last session. He seems to do that. Those Penske cars seem to do that.
So you're on the racetrack with these guys every single week. We watch from the grandstands. We watch from the booth or on TV, but you're with them. You see them. Who do you think has the best car, the best speed going through these playoffs?
I think right now, and in my situation, it's been watching them drive away when we've gotten lapped a couple times. But I think right now, just looking at the cars week in, week out, seems like Kevin Harvick and his team are the strongest, and I think Truex is right there behind him. When they drive by, those cars are stuck, and those guys can put those race cars where they want to, and they're two of the best drivers that are doing it right now. Looks like to me, just the feeling that I've got, the Gibbs teams are a little behind, but they're still capable of getting up there and winning, but they're not the strength of the 78 and the 4 right now.
Are you surprised at all that right now all but 2 cars in the top 12 are playoff cars? I mean, you know, certainly the playoff cars have dominated. I mean, they've been the ones you've had to beat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we tested here a couple weeks ago, and quite a few of the playoff cars were here, and they've stepped it up a couple notches since then. So it's impressive to see these guys. There's a reason that they've made the playoffs this year. Their teams are able to improve week in and week out, and they just keep doing it.
A little surprised to see Boyer down there in 16th.
You hear the lift right there, I think, on Eric Jones's in-car. That's not much time out of the throttle around a place like this. And I'd say he was 5th, so that means Eric Almirola probably had less lift than that.
Yeah, Junior was talking a little bit ago about how he likes running the middle here. He feels like there's more grip there. If you commit to going there, he feels like you can make better lap time. What is the difference from the driver's seat and running the bottom versus the middle?
It seems like the bottom here is different than most places. I don't know if it's the shape of the track. It seems like the bottom really kind of robs some speed from you, and it's so far down there where you can kind of take the middle line and just kind of keep the car smooth. You don't have to overwork the wheel, allow the car to take its head, as we say sometimes, especially at speeds like this. Any chance that a guy like Boyer that went out didn't run as fast as he was earlier? Is any chance that he could run again and pick up time, you think? I think so, especially with the speed that Boyer's had. To be 17th, you know, I don't know if he will jump all the way up inside the top 5. He very possibly could, but I got a feeling he could jump close to that top 12 and make it to the next round. So I wasn't a good qualifier. It was just something I didn't do a very good job of. You've qualified well, Xfinity Series. Like, what makes a good qualifier? Because you are one. Yeah, I've been really good at qualifying in the past. The last year and a half have been frustrating for me in that sense that we just haven't had the speed and done it. I think it's a little bit of everything. I think I do everything I can week in and week out to try to be most prepared for qualifying because that's where I want to work at and get better. But a lot of times it's car and qualifying day, especially when you're so close to wide open, comes down to the hard work put in the shop. And then also the driver's got to be able to go out there and hit his marks and execute perfectly for one lap. You only got one chance. I can't go out there and say, oh, I screwed it up. I'm sorry, guys, because that's the only chance you get. And it's a perfect combination of execution all the way across the board. Well, let's make a lap for William Byron. He's coming out for his 2nd time. Just took the green. Let's see if he can pick up speed. This is something that everybody will be watching for. I think if you're Boyer, you're going to go anyway, no matter what happens with William Byron. But you would love to see William pick up a little bit because that would give you some confidence that your car can pick up as well. And it looks like Williams headed in that direction. See how he gets through turn 3 and 4. Gave up a little bit on entry, but typically that means you're going to get it back on exit. It looks like he is if he can hold the throttle. And he decided to run the bottom, and that's not a wrong decision. You go where you think your car is best, and sometimes it's easy to say, hey, you should have run the middle, but you know, you learn a lot coming to get the green, and if your car did something that you know isn't going to work in the middle, then you just got to put your car where you think is best. That's what's cool about Kansas Speedway. When we get in the race on Sunday, you can race from the white line on the bottom all the way to the wall, and this track every year gets a little bit more racy as a driver, and that just means that we can pick lanes to make the car drive better for us, which makes it 3 and 4 wide racing and really fun to watch. Your brother Austin, how much you guys are tight. You've always been tight. This brother rivalry, though, right? How much you guys work together and talk about racing? We do quite a bit, and every year it gets a little better and a little better. I think at the beginning it was like, man, I just want to beat him. It doesn't matter. And I think now it's come down to we've both grown a little bit. We've both matured a little bit in the sport. We just want to help each other be better, and we both want to be battling each other for wins and championships, and we both feel very strongly that we will one day. It's just a matter of time. Yeah, it's you know, my mother had to step in one time and tell my brother Ward and I that either we work together or we don't come to dinner for Thanksgiving. It was that simple. Yeah, the one bad time we had was Kentucky Speedway. It was our 3rd or 4th Bandolero race ever together, and I wanted to get a top 5, and he was 5th at the time, so you probably know what happened. We had to ride home with Mom in the car, and he didn't talk to me for a couple days after that, but I got my first top 5. There you go. Kelly, what you got?
We've got the 14 of Clint Boyer getting back out there to make a second attempt. Obviously, he was very disappointed when he learned his time after his first qualifying effort in this round. Then he asked for his teammate Eric Almirola ran. It sounds like his spotter Brett Griffin thinks that Clint was running a little bit lower than Eric on one end of the racetrack. See what happens if he can move it up.
He came to the line really, really well. He had good speed coming to turn one, but not able to stay in the gas like he needs to. Gaining a little bit down the back straightaway, Todd.
Yeah, he's getting a lot down the back straightaway, so he's obviously going with the tactic of giving up a little bit on entry, like you see. Now he should gain a lot back on exit. We'll see how good this car is on exit of 3 and 4. He's gaining speed. Is he going to have enough coming down?
Doesn't look like it's going to be enough.
But he did gain, and that's kind of what we expected.
Yeah, it did move him, and it puts him in the outside lane, which I think from restart, I think the initial start of the race, I think being in the outside lane is probably a good thing. So only 3 spots, but that's 3 he doesn't have to get when they drop the green flag.
Yeah, that's for sure. And even though you might not be qualifying where you want, the outside lane here is probably preferred for the restarts.
And Chase Elliott, he doesn't care. He's on the next round anyway. You always care.
Yeah, man.
Man,
sure.
thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Yep. Nice
Proud of you. Keep digging.
Thank you.
Almirola is fastest in round 2. The top 12 now will be fighting for that pole position. Who'll win it? Stay with us. 4 and 2 of the playoff drivers that won't be advancing into round 3. Chase Elliott and Clint Boyer. Let's go down to Kelly.
But the good news for Chase Elliott, of course, that he is advancing to the next round of the playoffs. Chase, first guy not to advance into this round of 12. Any idea where you lost some of that speed?
Yeah, I mean, we need to kind of go look at it, I guess, and see. But, yeah, not very good. Pretty disappointing with that. So thought our car drove pretty decent this afternoon. So I was excited about tonight. And, yeah, just couldn't get going there. So I need to figure out why, I reckon, and hopefully get it driving good for Sunday.
All right, when I talked to your crew chief, Alan Gustafson, last week, he said he didn't realize how big a deal that win at Dover was to have these 2 sort of freebies, and he said it's awesome. Does that feeling carry over to this weekend?
I don't think so. I mean, last week I think yes. This week I don't think so. I mean, to me this is a test this weekend as to how you're going to be. We race a few more mile and a half throughout the rest of the season, so if you struggle here this weekend, you probably got your work cut out for you throughout this next round. So we need to capitalize. Obviously, still at a major deficit to those guys as far as wins and their bonus points. So, I think pressure's on, and we have to treat it as if it's any other weekend to try to grab a win this week.
All right, nothing to lose, but plenty to gain still for this 9 team.
I like that answer, Rick. Focused. No more time off. Has to go win a championship.
And get more playoff points for the next round if he can. Only 12 drivers with a shot at the pole for the Monster Energy Cup Series. And the race on Sunday is qualifying coming up to the 3rd round now. And cars starting to roll. Almirola was fastest in the 2nd round. Can he back it up in round 3 and get the pole after the huge win from a week ago?
And I think what'll be interesting in this round is with Boyer sitting in 14th, can Brad Keselowski or Ryan Blaney seek themselves maybe in that top 3, top 4 positions to try to get themselves a lot of points in that first stage? With Boyer sitting there in 14th, it's going to be tough for him to try to get stage points. That could really make things interesting.
And when we started, we were talking about the shadows of the sun. And now the only shadows you see are from the lights, because it is in total darkness here in Kansas.
Moonlight and the lights around the track. And we'll see who is best in this. Just 5 minutes this round.
And you'll still see some guys run in the middle of the racetrack because that's just where their cars are set up to run. There's a big difference in the balance between running the bottom and the middle of the racetrack. So if you set your car up to run that middle, got to stick with it. It also changes how you use the throttle. You're going to use a little more throttle on the top, getting the gas sooner, running that higher groove.
That was a ton of throttle there. My goodness.
Hard onto the apron. And Kurt Busch, 28-48.
You heard Ty Dillon. He thought they were going to go all the way down in the hose. So we'll see. We'll see if there you go. Joe Logano, 17.
Fastest lap so far in this qualifying.
We had a 10 today in practice. So we know it's out there for somebody if they want to go get it.
Blaney, 28-28. Second right now to Logano.
So far this whole session's been a little slower, but Interesting if somebody can beat that 17.
Logano might be a surprise on this one.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you heard Ty Dillon. I didn't think of it this way, but what he said, he goes, this is one of those that Keselowski just kind of grinds along. The next thing you know, he sits on the pole. We'll see, maybe that's Logano's teammate on board with Truex right here.
Truex trending to the wrong way, man. Off turn 2, already a 10th off. Not much throttle for him there. You can see the time. Chasing that car, he's kind of out of the track for some real surprises. It gets darker, you think, man, this thing's going to grip up, going to use more gas, more throttle, but this place really doesn't change that much.
28.51 for Martin Truex Jr. 5th of the 5 that have gone. Alex Bowman, he goes to 4th quickest, bumping Kurt Busch and Truex Jr. down. Kevin Harvick, and when he goes into turn 1, he'll be over 200 miles an hour right there.
Still not as fast as Logano was going into turn 1 on his lap, but he's making some speed here off of turn 2. Great 1 and 2.
You heard track bar, reminding him to adjust his track bar between turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Make the ends drive similar.
Losing it through the center of the turn.
Gonna hope that he backed it up, but he doesn't. Can't make the gains on corner exit he needs to. Logano, man, what a great lap. I think that's one bullet out of the way. I think the other one is Almirola. And his teammate Keselowski could surprise us all.
Keselowski first.
Eric's going into turn 1. He's up.
Oh, no, you're right. Excuse me.
Almirola here.
Red.
He's in the green.
Losing a little bit here.
And now into the red, going the wrong direction through 3 and 4.
That tells me that Logano must have really got through 3 and 4, because people have a chance at the end of the backstretch. Keselowski, again, look at him. Basically a 100th off.
Right there. He's got his work cut out for him, though. Nobody's been able to get through turn 3 and 4 the way his teammate Logano did, and Brad will not either.
Add him to the list.
Joe Logano.
Keselowski 5th.
Joe Logano.
Still.
Great lap together.
Just like you had mentioned, Blaney and Keselowski, guys who need points, starting right now 4th and 5th potentially, as compared to Boyer, who starts 14th.
Yeah, I think Dale brought up a great point. Blaney's not on the pole, but that 4th position, he's plus 10 spots already at the start of the race. If he can continue that trend.
Yeah, and that outside starting position, if he maintains 4th, that's not a bad place to start. I think the outside groove is a one that the drivers would prefer. This is a great lap by Hamlin. Losing a little bit here.
This team's just looking for something good to happen, right? I think even a qualifying position at this point would be a momentum builder, but he's a little high here. Logano is the king of 3 and 4. There's no doubt.
And the clock runs out. The 78 looked as though he was going to try another lap, but he wasn't even close to getting there in time. Logano, the high fives all around for the 22 team.
Plus 39, Rick. He can go score and say 10 points in the first stage. That doesn't guarantee, but that makes the second half of the race a lot less stressful.
Kelly.
Well, Joey Logano, in typical Joey fashion, by the way, all smiles down here. Congratulations on the pole, Joey. I heard you say great changes today, guys. Was this a little bit of a surprise to come down here and put a pole lap together?
That was a joke because we made 0 changes from the time we unloaded to qualifying. So that was just kind of a little joke to the guys. But they, like I said, they did a great job preparing to show Penzo forward. It unloaded with good speed, and we did a good job maintaining the speed we needed throughout the runs. And it's a fun place to qualify because it definitely rewards bigger guts. You know, the more you go for it, the more the reward is. But the penalty is also pretty big too. We've seen that with some other cars, so it's a lot of fun qualifying. It's nice. It's been a while since we got in a pole, so it feels nice to be able to break through and start in a good spot for this final race at the cutoff.
You come in with 39 points above that cutoff line. Having this pole and being in such good track position, how much additional pressure does that alleviate?
Well, I mean, it helps a little bit. Obviously, we want to be able to score some stage points to start, and you know, hopefully this thing's good in race trim, and we don't have to worry about points. We can just go and win the race. You know, but I definitely feel good about that. So, I want to say thanks to everyone at the shop, everyone that's built these things up, Roush Yates Motors, everyone that's put together a good car for me to drive this week. So, looking forward to it.
All right, congratulations. Thanks. Jeff?
Hey guys, I think that was a big run for Logano. We haven't talked a lot about Joey, but he's not locked in by any means. He has some work to do, but this has been a good racetrack for him. Third in May, top 5 in both stages, and he has 2 Kansas wins, which, by the way, were both in playoffs. So a great start for Joey Logano in this cut race.
All right, well, the Stewart-Haas drivers, they have been split up since Talladega. When you split up the Stewart-Haas drivers, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But how about Logano and putting that lap down? That was pretty impressive.
Well, it's not just, I think, a good thing for this round that we're in the cut race, but you heard Chase Elliott mention it. This mile-and-a-half track, probably the most similar left to Homestead. Not exact by any means, but old pavement, fast racetrack. So as you look throughout the rest of the season,
still
you have
Texas.
to make it to Miami.
Yep.
Texas have changed 1 or 2 a little bit, but I think this can be a momentum for points and just confidence with the race team that what you've worked on, what you've brought in the playoffs is paying dividends at the mile-and-a-half tracks.
Yeah, I'm thinking about Brad Keselowski and Blaney trying to get points in those rounds and those stage points to kind of move themselves into position to move into the next round. Well, you can't do that if everybody else is that you're trying to gain points on is getting those same stage points. Well, Clint Boyer did not qualify well. He's in 14th. That's not a red flag right away, but if he isn't able to get in that top 10 and get stage points, where Blaney qualified, where Keselowski qualified, they got to go for broke in that first stage to try to capitalize on this opportunity to really get a big chunk on Boyer early in the race.
Well, this is going to be a big Sunday, guys. I know that we're excited about the fact that we've got the race here, which is going to be incredible. The 4 stars from NASCAR, 28 miles apart from what's going to be taking place Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead Stadium. But you got Harvick, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. We're going to say Brad Keselowski with the 3 wins, part of kind of the big 4 here. And then we're going to head over to Arrowhead and Junior, I think you're going to be a part of this. Now, are you going to suit up? Will you have a helmet?
They told me to dress like I was a fan, so I'm ready to rock, man.
Okay.
I'm
So you're not
excited.
going to wear a Redskins jersey. You do know wearing Kansas.
Yeah, you
I know
can't wear
better than
Redskins
that.
jersey.
Okay.
But I will not be wearing a Chiefs jersey, I'll tell you. My loyalty is with the Redskins, but we're all going to go over there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know Clint Boyer's going to the game, too. We talked about that on NASCAR America, our 1,000th episode.
Yep.
So I'm excited to go over there, see a game, hang out, have some fun.
Yeah, and listen, that quarterback for Kansas City, I watched last Sunday night. They played the Patriots. That young man has an arm.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for Sunday
Yeah.
night. It's gonna be
You're
a
just
shootout.
being nice now that you guys beat them.
Yeah, well, it's a lot easier to be nice now that it's over.
All right, but we're excited about the fact that this race is going to be great. It's an elimination race. That means that only 8 drivers will still have a shot at the championship after Sunday.
Yeah, and really, when I look at it, you talk about big names below, Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Ryan Blaney, big names that need to win to advance.
All right, so a mile-and-a-half track. There's only 3 of them left in the season here, Texas and Homestead, Miami. Thanks for watching NASCAR coverage on NBCSN from Kansas Speedway. Time now for some NHL.